And then, of course, we got the UFC. And so, like I said, from the Apex on Saturday afternoon, which, afternoon at the Apex means it's going to be even more dead than usual, probably.
Yeah, because it starts at 1 o'clock Vegas time there.
Yeah. So it's, I don't,
Main
I don't
card at
know.
main card at 4.
Yeah. Is that the main card at 4?
Yeah,
Or
Vegas
four
time.
for Lotus? Yeah. So
Vegas time.
yeah, 7 Eastern. So at least it'll be an early night for us. But the main event is not the biggest of marquee, but we've got a former champion in the main event, Rafael dos Anjos against Vicente Luque. Um, I'm at welterweight. So,
Yeah.
man, when I look at these two guys, like, I feel like Luque's got a huge size advantage.
Yeah, maybe. Luque's coming off he hasn't fought in a year, and he was on a long medical suspension because they found something I think in his brain or something, or
Oh, wow.
something was going on. He had something. Yeah, that's why the fight was moved back a month. He had to get cleared by a neurosurgeon. But yeah, interesting fight. Dos Anjos, he's been bouncing back between lightweight and welterweight. I think at welterweight, this is a true gatekeeper fight and one of those main events where, like, okay, who are two guys that we can put in the main event in the Apex and actually push it as a main event? And this is that kind of fight. I think that Dos Anjos, I still think he has more upside at lightweight, even though lightweight is tough. Welterweight's tough. I think he's kind of like the Kevin Lee kind of. He's big for lightweight, though he can still make the weight. Small for welterweight, but would be perfect for 165-pound division.
Yeah.
They should just make a 165-pound division, call it the BMF division, and have that title fight at 165. Who cares
Yeah.
if
Why not? Yeah.
who
There's just a
cares if
ton
you
of guys
cut
they could
weight?
put in there.
Yeah,
I
who
mean,
cares? Max Holloway doesn't have to cut weight; he can just fight.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, yeah, you can get guys from featherweight, from
yeah,
lightweight, bantamweight. I mean, welterweight.
welterweight, yeah,
Yeah,
welterweight, yeah. But anyway, back to me, man. Um, you know, I think it's going to go 5 rounds, and that kind of a spoiler for something we're coming up. When we talk about here in a minute, but yeah, and I kind of favor Dos Anjos in this. Luque, he was on a good run there for a while, but he's lost 2 in a row. Lost to Bilal Muhammad, finished by Jeff Neal. I kind of think he might have already peaked, unfortunately, and we might be seeing him on the downturn. He fought a lot, was in a lot of wars, has a lot of finishes, but again, was in a lot of wars, and I think maybe his downturn is coming. And Rafael dos Anjos, every time we think he's starting his downturn, he surprises people. He finished Brian Barberina in his last fight. I favor Dos Anjos in this very slightly, but if I
well,
ever picking, I'm picking Dos Anjos.
and when you say very slightly, I mean that's basically the odds are very slightly in favor of Dos Anjos.
Yeah,
And I'm kind of leaning the other way, just because I kind of, when I look at who they've lost to and who they've beaten, I just feel like Luque's got the better record, and to me, he seems like the bigger guy. But that year off and come off of 2 losses, I mean, that's kind of tough. So now you got me thinking, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but
yeah.
follow me on Twitter, and you'll find out about my bets, especially if I win. But other than that main event, there's not much else on this card. And you've got the toughest job of the night, coming up with 3 fights for everyone to watch.
Well, luckily I have those. So,
Yeah, okay,
so
well, here you go.
here we go. My first one is the co-main event featherweight fight: Cub Swanson against Hakeem Dawodu. I always like Cub Swanson fights. He's that guy's going to fight his heart out every time he's in there, win or lose. He's lost more than he's won recently, but I mean he's still joy to watch, and he's somebody. I mean, I've been watching Cub Swanson fights going back to 2006.
Yeah,
So I've been seeing him for a long time, and he's still fighting at a high level. And Hakeem Dawodu is a good fighter, so just matchups are great. My next one is a light heavyweight fight: Khalil Roundtree against Chris Dawkins. I'm super interested in how Dawkins looks at light heavyweight. He was fighting at heavyweight, but he had one of those body types. You're like, if he dieted right and lost weight, I thought he could compete at light heavyweight. and he knocked a lot of heavyweights out. I'm really interested to see if that power can translate. And Khalil Roundtree is a fantastic kickboxer with knockout power on his feet. Uh, to me, this is a great matchup to me. And,
He's
I like the
gonna. I
matchup.
mean, Daukus is gonna get leg kicked to death.
Yeah, he is. He
Yeah.
is. So
So
yeah,
it's whether I'm sure he's training for that. So
there's a. And my third one, it's going to be a main card fight too. AJ Dobson against Teflon and Chukwui. I mean, both these guys have kind of been disappointing to say. It's a must-win fight for both, but they're two big middleweights, and yeah, I mean, there's not much on this card, but I think that's an interesting fight, and it's two guys who are fighting for basically their job. And there's a few of those fights, so I think they'll give it their all in this one.
all right. There's one undefeated fighter on the card, and he's making his UFC debut, Isaac Dulgarian, going up against Francis Marshall, which I think is pretty like incredible fight of two, up
Yeah,
and coming prospects.
that was kind of on my fringe list for the
Yeah.
top three.
And Isaac is he's 5-0 with 5 first round finishes outside the UFC, and the longest fight he's had is 2 minutes and 49 seconds, and he's won by knockout and submission. So he's probably a real exciting fighter. And his last fight, he actually beat a guy that I've seen fight a few times, TJ Britton. So it's not like he's beaten nobodies, or maybe in some cases at least. But you'd wanted me to come up with, or was it we were both going to do betting props, or just me?
Yeah, we're both going to do betting
Okay.
props, and it can be like you can pick straight winner, or just like this is what we're going to call our three best bets on the card.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a parlay, and
You can do that, or
yeah,
however you want to do your best bets. It's up to you.
So I'm going to go with Marcus McGee at bantamweight is a big favorite over JP Buys, who is moving up to bantamweight after fighting featherweight, and McGee is moving down from featherweight. So I like McGee anyways, but the fact that he's going to have a huge size advantage most likely, and Buys is just a guy I don't really like anyways. So I'm going to pair him up with in who's the other person I had? Oh yeah, Francis Marshall, who I just mentioned. And again, it's kind of tough because you got that Isaac Dulgarian coming in, but he's a young fighter. He's only had 5 pro fights, and Francis Marshall has looked pretty incredible. We first saw him on the Contender Series. He lost a split decision in his last fight, but I think he's going to bounce back here. So he's a slight favorite, I believe, in this fight. Yeah, minus 190. So if you're betting on those two, you're gonna get just over even money on a 2-fight parlay. So I think that's a fairly safe bet, McGee and Marshall.
Okay, for my prop bets, I'm going to go first. The main event, Luque and Dos Anjos. I'm going to say that goes the distance. So going the distance would be a best bet there. I'm going to take Marcus McGeehee by submission as a prop bet.
Okay.
And Damone Blackshear to finish inside the distance.
And he's fighting Jose Johnson. He's from the Contender Series, right?
Yes, and he's taking this on short notice. Just took the fight yesterday. So, but even so, Damone Blackshear.
As we were saying before, he's a guy that didn't get a contract on the Contender Series, but he's getting a fight anyway.
He did get a contract on the Contender.
Oh, he did get a fight. Okay, I'm sorry. My bad.
He was supposed to debut. I think he might have already fought. I can't remember.
No, he's had 2 fights that have been canceled. Vince Morales and Garrett Armfield.
Yeah, I knew he's had fights that were at least one that was canceled. So
he fought Jack Cartwright on the Contender Series. That's not the wrestler Jack Cartwright. No. That's somebody else. Okay.
No. Okay. Jack Cartwright's real name is Jack Claffey, and with his past, I don't think they would touch him.
Gotcha. So you've got Damone Blackshear to finish, Jose Johnson and Marcus McGee to submit JP Buys, and Vicente Luque and Rafael Dos Anjos to go the distance.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I wish they would have prop odds this early, but they don't.
No, but you know what? Like those, I mean, whatever the prop odds are, I mean, don't let them sway you because Ryan's telling you it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So I like that. Oh, and I will give you one more. I don't know if you can get prop bet on this, but Josh Parisi and Martin Boudet is going to suck. I don't know if we can get a prop bet on that, but I think that's a pretty safe bet.